So in 2021, comedian Andrew Lawrence was accused of making racist jokes about the European Championship final. His agent dropped him, his tour was cancelled. He didn't perform on stage again for almost 2 years, but he's performing again now, and he's got a tour coming up. Please welcome to the show, Andrew Lawrence. Well, thanks for coming on the show, you evil reprobate. Now, this is interesting to me because you've always been a controversial comic. Like, even when I first heard of you all those years ago back on The Fringe, you know, I think there was a poster of you with some sort of bleach or something. You were dark humour, you were near the edge, right? So why do people assume when you talk about race or these sensitive issues, you're being literal? Well,
that's a good point, isn't it? I think there's that contract, that understanding, it's kind of a bond of trust between comedians and the public,
yes,
that you're not supposed to take what they're saying seriously. Right. And as soon as you do, you've broken that bond of trust and that contract. But that's symptomatic of a wider social problem, isn't it? That lack of trust.
But let's contextualise it. You know, this was soon after the George Floyd affair. Yeah. You know, everything had kicked off. Black Lives Matter. So there was a particular sensitivity about the issue of race. But I suppose, is that why you wanted to joke about it?
Well, you know, I'd watched the football tournament, the Euros in England, and the whole tournament had been framed in racial politics, and all the players were taking a knee for BLM. Everyone always says, oh no, they weren't taking a knee for BLM, they were taking a knee to protest against racism in football. Well, they might have been, but unfortunately that taking a knee gesture is inextricably linked with BLM. I could give a Nazi salute in support of animal welfare, but it wouldn't take that gesture away from its original context, would it? So the whole tournament was framed in racist slogans splashed across the TV screens, hate won't win, and all the pundits, the commentators talking about how racist English football fans were. The whole tournament, a woke wash, if you want to call it that. And then at the end of the tournament, England played Italy in the final, and it went to penalties. It was a draw at the end, it went to penalties, and the England manager, Gareth Southgate, selected 5 players to take penalties. Now, coincidentally or not, he selected 2 players to step up and take the first penalties who were white, and they scored their penalties. And the last 3 that he selected were mixed race, and they all missed their penalties quite badly. And everyone was very angry about this and impassioned. It was the first time we got to the final of a football tournament. But at that moment, in this strange penalty shootout when the 2 white players scored, the 3 mixed race players missed, suddenly no one wanted to talk about race anymore. Suddenly it was off the menu, and it was this awkward elephant in the room, and you know, it's my sick sense of humour. I found that quite funny, so I was straight on Twitter.
Well, it's that instinct, isn't it, of yeah, making a joke about the thing that you know you're not meant to make a joke about at that given time. But then, of course, because of the subject matter, people say, you're a racist for doing it. How does that feel to be... Because you're not a racist, right? Like, how would you feel? Yeah, it goes without saying. So how does it feel to suddenly get the jokes being taken literally and you being accused of one of the worst things you can be accused of?
Well, you know, emotions were very high for everyone at that point. I think it's a big deal, this international football tournament for sports fans. Everyone was very angry that we got to this final and we hadn't won, and everyone was looking for someone to blame for that. But there was also this thing where the whole tournament had been framed in this racial politics, and here was the opportunity. So, oh, we have got racist football fans, and
I see.
Yeah,
so it was a kind of like
it was a pantomime, you know.
But what happened? Because my understanding is that your tour dates were immediately cancelled, and this was a Twitter storm, right? And then your agent dropped you as well. So talk us through that. That was very quick.
It's very strange. It happened very quickly within the space of a few hours. You know, who knows, maybe 30, 40 tour dates all in one go, which to my mind it seemed like, well, this is orchestrated, this is an organisation who have gone to work contacting these venues. This can't just be the work of one individual.
So all 40 venues cancelled roughly the same time?
Within a couple of hours, yeah. Within 2-3 hours.
Incredible. But of course,
which made me feel it was in some way orchestrated. But,
and then when did the agent drop you?
I had a few phone calls with the agent, and one of his, how he described it, is that one of his higher profile clients has said to him, look, if you don't drop Andrew Lawrence, I'm leaving your agency. So the agent decided for his livelihood and his business that he had to part company with me.
Well,
which,
you know what, Andrew, don't worry about it, because, as they say, cancel culture doesn't exist. So,
yeah, that's right.
You know, it's all in your imagination. But look, you took a while off stand-up, but you were doing these internet videos, which have become incredibly popular, your viral videos, where you do various characters, and they're really funny, and they've done so well. And now you're back. You're doing a tour.
Yeah, I am, you know, and during the pandemic, when none of us were allowed to gig, I sort of got used to it a little bit. And
you made it work, because you had these videos.
Well, I went to work. I think I've got to do something, and I'm not going to have this. And, you know, I've got these online platforms to put stuff out there, and some other comedians did the same thing, and it transformed the industry in a way. There's some people who've done very well out of that, but I wanted to do stand-up comedy since I was I was a kid, and it's all I've ever wanted to do, and you know, it's my home really, and I get to a green room, I'm on stage, and it's a natural thing for me, and it's my, you know, it's still my community as well. These people, even though those comedians wouldn't come out and support me, and I understand that, because there's a culture of fear within comedy, but within the arts generally, and beyond, that people see what happens when you speak out, and you know, you lose your livelihood potentially. I was lucky because I had this other source of income that I built up through the comedy videos online, but they've seen how quickly you can lose your livelihood by having the wrong opinion. So of course other comedians don't want to speak out. It's a precarious profession at the best of times.
Absolutely, makes sense.
So I don't have any, there's no sort of malice there. They're still my people, it's my community, but I wish they'd all have a bit more backbone and
yes,
and do what they want to do, rather than toe this very political line. Absolutely. Which they all do.
But at least you are now out again touring. Just tell us about the tour. Where are you going, and how can people get tickets for your shows?
Well, you know, it's starting off the 15th of July, next Saturday in Swansea.
Yeah.
And then the following Friday in Swindon. So we're starting with all the Swaz. That's the way we go. And then, funnily enough, I'm doing a lot of gigs that are not incorporated in the tour, but then I get back to in October. I'm doing Southampton on the 14th of October, 2 dates in London, the 20th and the 21st of October. I think one of those is sold out, but there's still tickets for the other one.
That's
so it's a slow re-entry, and after what I like to think of as a 2-year tactical retreat.
Yeah, absolutely. And people should be aware when they come and see the show that what you're saying on stage isn't a literal expression of your point of view. Yeah.
Well, you know, they're welcome to be offended, but that's nothing to do with me. Offence is taken; it's not given. I didn't give it to them; they took it. So that's a problem for them to deal with. And if they are offended, they want to come and tell me they're offended after the show. I'm happily to let them know just how much I don't care.
Fantastic. Andrew Lawrence, where can people find you on Twitter or website?
YouTube, Andrew Lawrence Comedy. That's where I am most of the time. If they want to see when my tour dates are, it's Linktree, Andrew Lawrence Tour Dates.
Fantastic. Andrew, thanks so much for joining me today.